Disclaimer: this video is AI generated for infotainment only. Data sourced from the internet. AI may hallucinate. Verify all facts independently.
More than 30 lakh people hold elected office in India. Not in parliament, not in the state assemblies, in the villages. Here is the part nobody tells you. Around 14 lakh of them are women. It is the largest experiment in grassroots democracy the world has ever seen, and it is hidden in plain sight in places with no cameras and no headlines. But for the first 40 years of this republic, the village council was an afterthought, created at a state's whim, crushed at a state's whim, until one amendment in 1992 made it permanent and asked a question we are still answering. Are these village republics actually powerful or only elected? Chapter 39. Panchayati Raj. Rural local self-government has a name in India. Panchayati Raj rule by the village council. The strange thing is how little the original constitution gave it. Local government was left to the states to handle. The only mention of the village panchayat sat among the Directive Principles, Article 40, a gentle instruction that the state should organize village councils. But the Directive Principles are not enforceable in any court. It was a wish, not a command. So for decades the village republic lived on borrowed time. Some states built panchayats, others let them wither. Elections were postponed for years. A long line of committees kept sounding the alarm. In 1957, the first of them recommended a 3-tier structure, village, block and district, and gave the whole idea its name, democratic decentralization. Rajasthan launched it first in 1959. 2 decades later, in 1977, a second committee wanted a leaner 2-tier system and became the first to say the obvious. These bodies should be written into the constitution itself. In 1985, another review found the panchayats had been hollowed out by bureaucracy, grass, it said, without roots. In 1986, one more committee made the demand unmistakable. Give them constitutional protection. Put them beyond the reach of a hostile state government. But knowing the answer is not the same as passing it. A first attempt to amend the constitution in 1989 cleared the lower house and died in the upper one. A second attempt the very next year lapsed when the government fell. Twice the village republic came to the doorstep of permanence. Twice the door closed. Then in 1992 it finally passed. Over the next few minutes, the long road just traveled, the blueprint it built, the teeth it grew, and the questions still unanswered. Part 2. What that one amendment actually created. So what did 1992 actually build? On the surface, a single amendment. Underneath it, a whole new wing of the Constitution. The 73rd Amendment came into force in 1993. It carved out a brand new part of the Constitution, Part 9, titled simply the Panchayats. 16 articles running from Article 243 to 243.0. It bolted on a new schedule, the 11th schedule, a list we will come back to. That gentle wish from Article 40 had finally been given a body. This time it was enforceable. The states were now under a constitutional duty to build these councils and to hold their elections on time, whether they wanted to or not. The whole structure rests on something beautifully simple. The Gram Sabha. The Gram Sabha is not a committee and not a council. It is the village itself. Every single registered voter in the village belongs to it, the entire adult population gathered as one assembly. Article 243A makes it the foundation of the system. Think about what that is. Not representatives voting on your behalf, but the whole village in one room deciding for itself. It is the purest form of direct democracy left anywhere in the country. The elected councils are built on top of it. But the Gram Sabha is the ground they stand on. Above that foundation, the amendment laid down a single uniform shape for the whole country. 3-tier system. At the bottom, the panchayat at the village level. In the middle, the panchayat at the intermediate level, usually the block. At the top, the panchayat at the district level. The same 3 stories in every state so that no 2 states could drift into completely different designs, with one sensible exception. A smaller state, one with a population not exceeding 20 lakh, is allowed to skip the middle tier entirely. For a small state, 3 layers would simply be too many. The people feel these tiers directly. Every member at every level is elected by the voters themselves. The chairpersons of the upper 2 tiers are then chosen from among those elected members. The village chairperson, that one each state decides for itself. Now, the amendment is clever about how much it forces. Its provisions come in 2 kinds. Some are compulsory, the mandatory spine. The Gram Sabha, the 3 tiers, direct elections, fixed terms, reserved seats, these every state must adopt. There is no opting out. Others are voluntary, left to each state's discretion. How much real power to actually hand the Gram Sabha? Whether to give panchayats their own taxing powers? Whether to reserve seats for backward classes? The skeleton is fixed for everyone. The muscle that was left to the states. Remember that because it is exactly where this story turns. A foundation, 3 tiers, and a rule book every state must follow. But a structure is only a skeleton. Part 3. What gave it teeth? A skeleton with no teeth is just a diagram. So the amendment gave the village republic 3 sets of teeth. The first set changed who gets to sit at the table. Seats are reserved for the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes in proportion to their share of the local population, at all 3 levels, members and chairpersons alike. Then comes the line that changed millions of lives. Not less than 1/3 of all the seats reserved for women. Not just the ordinary seats, but the chairperson's chair too, at every single level. In a country where women had been almost entirely shut out of public power, the constitution had just guaranteed them 1/3 of every village council in the land. The second set of teeth fixed the one thing states used to abuse most time. Every panchayat now gets a fixed term of 5 years. If a state dissolves one early, it cannot simply leave the seats empty. Fresh elections must be held within 6 months. No more indefinite postponements, no more councils left to quietly die. To widen the door, the minimum age to contest was set at just 21. But the sharpest teeth were 2 new guardians, because the amendment took 2 powers out of the state government's hands entirely. The first is the State Election Commission. Under Article 243K, the conduct of every panchayat election, the rolls, the voting, the count, now belongs to it, not to the ruling party. Its commissioner cannot be casually sacked. Removing one is as hard as removing a judge of a high court. The second is the State Finance Commission under Article 243. Once every 5 years, it must sit and review the money, how much of the state's revenue should flow down to the panchayats. The village republic could no longer be quietly starved of funds in the dark. Then there is that list we set aside, the 11th schedule. It names 29 subjects handed down to the panchayats: agriculture and water, roads and rural housing, schools and health, poverty programs and women and child development. Almost the entire texture of village life placed in local hands. A few corners were left out, some northeastern states, and the tribal scheduled areas which run on their own customs. But even those were not abandoned. A separate law in 1996, the Extension Act, carried this whole system into the tribal areas with the Gram Sabha at its very heart. So that is the design. Permanent, elected, funded, reserved, a genuine powerhouse on paper. But paper is not a village. Part 4. What actually happened on the ground. Step back and look at what one amendment set in motion. More than 2.5 lakh panchayats spread across the country. Around 32 lakh elected representatives sitting on them. To put that in scale, that is more elected people in the villages of one country than the entire population of some nations. No other democracy on earth comes anywhere close. Every 5 years, this quiet, enormous election happens far from the cameras in places most of us will never visit. This is the largest democratic exercise in human history. It lives almost entirely off screen. But the deepest change was not the size. It was who walked through the door. Remember that guarantee, 1/3 of every seat reserved for women. on its own. That was the single largest expansion of women's political power anywhere ever. Roughly 14 lakh women in elected office, many of whom had never held any public role in their lives. Then something the founders never required began to happen on its own. State after state decided 1/3 was not enough. They raised it to 1/2. By 2024, 21 states and 2 union territories had reserved 50% of their panchayat seats for women. Bihar moved first back in 2006. Rajasthan followed in 2010. In a single generation, the village council went from a room of men to a place where half the chairs by law belong to women. Yet, for all of that, ask the people who actually sit on these councils and you hear the same frustration. The seat is real. The power too often is not, because winning a constitutional structure is one thing, filling it with real authority is another, and that part was left to the states. The reformers gave it a name. The 3 F's: functions and functionaries. Functions: the 29 subjects were promised to the panchayats, but many states never truly handed them over. Functionaries: the staff to actually do the work, often still answer to the state, not the council. Funds: this is the deepest wound. Most panchayats raise very little money of their own. They survive on grants from above, and those grants usually come tied to a specific scheme with almost no freedom to spend. The result is a body with enormous responsibility and painfully little real power. Elected, but not yet empowered. The story is not standing still though. The village republic is going digital. On the 24th of April 2021, the very anniversary of the day, Part 9 came into force. The country launched a scheme to map rural land from the sky. Drones fly over the villages, mapping every home, and for the first time, millions of families are handed a legal card proving they own the ground beneath their feet. New tools for the oldest unit of Indian democracy. So hold the whole shape in your mind. A village republic that waited 40 years and a relay of committees before one amendment in 1992 finally made it permanent. Part 9, built on the Gram Sabha rising through 3 uniform tiers. Given teeth, reserved seats, a 1/3 share for women, fixed terms, and 2 commissions guarding its elections and its money. Still fighting its hardest battle to turn the seats it won into the power it was promised. We have just built the village republic. But more than half the country is heading the other way, into the cities. So next we build the town, the twin of everything you just saw, the 74th Amendment and the government of urban India. Chapter 40, Municipalities.